Before we begin today's conversation, I want to take a moment to say this. I am not a psychologist, therapist, law enforcement officer, or criminal behavior expert. Everything I share in this episode comes from my own observations after years of watching documentaries, interviews, and educational true crime content. This episode is not about one specific case, one specific person, or one specific investigation. It is not intended to diagnose anyone, assign blame, or speculate about real events. Instead, today's conversation is simply an opportunity to reflect on the difference between healthy love, unhealthy attachment, and the importance of recognizing behaviors that can become harmful. And with that being said, let's get into today's conversation.
Yeah. Pull up a chair, we gon' talk it through. Little bit of life, little breakthrough. From the crib to the headlines, heart on display. Everyday stories in a brand new way. This is the corner with Jay, where we pray, real talk, mama heart, big dreams on the way.
Every true crime story begins with one question: what happened? But after years of watching these stories unfold, I found myself asking a different question. When did love become something people confuse with possession? Welcome back to the Corner with Jay, where we have real conversations about real life so we can experience real growth. Today's episode is called When Love Turns Deadly: The Difference Between Love and Possession. If you've watched enough true crime, you've probably heard investigators ask the same question again and again and again. Who was closest to the victim? And not because they're jumping to conclusions, but because experience has taught them that's often where difficult questions began. And that question stayed with me because over time, I noticed something. The names changed, the cities changed, the victims changed, the circumstances changed, but certain patterns kept appearing. One thing I've learned is that control can sometimes disguise itself as love. And it may sound a little something like this: if I can't have you, you're not leaving me. Nobody else will love you like I do. Those words may sound emotional, but there aren't expressions of healthy love. Healthy love respects choices. Healthy love allows people to walk away. Healthy love hurts when relationships end, but it doesn't try to own another human being. Love and possession are not the same thing, y'all. And I think that's one of the most important conversations we can have. As I watched different documentaries over the years, another pattern stood out for me. Sometimes it wasn't about love at all. Sometimes it was fear. The fear of being left behind, a fear of rejection, a fear of embarrassment, fear of losing control. Sometimes people become so consumed with protecting their pride that they lose sight of another person's humanity. The truth is, no relationship, no argument, no betrayal, regardless of how bad it is, no amount of pride is worth destroying a life over. One of the hardest words for some people to accept is goodbye. Relationships end, people change, trust gets broken. Sometimes people simply grow in different directions. Healthy people grieve. Healthy people cry. Healthy people lean on friends and family. Healthy people heal. But then there's a downside. Unhealthy attachment can become obsession. And obsession is not love. No one belongs to us. Not a spouse, not a boyfriend, not a girlfriend, not a lifelong friend. People have every right to choose peace, even when that choice hurts someone else's feelings. Now, here's something I've thought about a lot. Most red flags don't arrive looking dangerous. Sometimes they're mistaken for passion. Sometimes they're mistaken for loyalty. And sometimes they're mistaken for protection. But there is a big difference, huge difference between caring about someone and trying to control them. I'm talking about extreme jealousy, isolation from family and friends, monitoring someone's every move, constant accusations, making someone feel guilty for having boundaries. Those behaviors aren't signs of deep love. They are warning signs flashing. One thing social media has taught us is how easy it is to believe we're seeing someone's whole life. A smiling picture, an anniversary post, a vacation, a romantic caption, but we rarely know what exists outside the frame. That's exactly why I've stopped comparing relationships a long time ago. Because peace doesn't always photograph well. Respect doesn't always go viral. Healthy love is often quiet. It's built in those ordinary moments. I'm talking trust, kindness, patience, safety. Those things matter far more than appearances. If I had to describe healthy love, this is how it would look. It would feel safe. It would respect boundaries. It would celebrate your growth instead of fearing it. It would encourage honest conversations. And it wouldn't require you to become smaller just so someone else can feel bigger. Healthy love gives freedom. Control takes it away. Healthy love builds trust. Control creates fear. Healthy love says, baby, I want the best for you. Control says, you belong to me. Those are two different messages. You know, the more true crime stories I watch, the more convinced I become that healthy relationships rarely make the headlines. The safest relationships usually aren't the loudest. They're the most peaceful. They're built on mutual respect, on trust, on communication, on the freedom to fully be yourself. Now, this episode wasn't meant to make anyone fearful. It was meant to encourage us to recognize the difference between a love that nurtures and behavior that seeks control. Love should never, ever make someone fear for their life. Love should never require someone to lose themselves. Love should never be confused with possession. Now, if today's conversation encourages even one person, male or female, to pay closer attention to the health of their relationship, then this conversation was worth having. Thank you for joining me for another episode of The Corner with Jay. If today's conversation resonated with you, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. But let's keep the conversation respectful and centered on recognizing healthy relationships and encouraging one another. If you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with someone who might appreciate this discussion. And if you're looking for more conversations about relationships, personal growth, faith, culture, and life, you're definitely in the right place. So until next time, protect your peace, guard your heart, choose relationships that are rooted in respect, trust, and freedom, because real love never has to control you. I'm Jay. Thank you for spending a little time here with me, and I'll meet you right back here for the next episode at The Corner with Jay. Take care, loves.